stand here for the time being. Oh, wow. Let's see if I can take this off. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be here once again, only this time as the speaker rather than the hostess for the evening, which was well done by Nadine. Thank you very much. Excellent job. And I'm very excited to see all you people here. Some of you I know very well, and you've seen me before, and some are new faces, of course. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you the wisdom and the energy of the being that I channel. Before I channel, I thought I'd just give a brief intro as to, my background, in case you would like to know how did I get to this point. It was a very long journey, long story short. Started in my 20s, and I was searching, I guess as we all were in our 20s, for the meaning of life. And I found it through what was called the Seth material, the Seth books. These were a series of books channeled by a woman named Jane Roberts in Elmira, New York, who channeled an entity named Seth, who came through very loud and clear, first through the Ouija board and then through her voice, and her husband, Rob, dutifully wrote down everything that he said. And his works are just an amazing compilation of wisdom and philosophy that have had an incredible influence on many of the great New Age leaders of today. And it certainly had a great influence on me. And it gave me a sense of hope and a sense of inspiration about what it means to be a human being on planet Earth. And I was studying philosophy at the time, so I was very skeptical, actually, of the channeling phenomena. And many of you may have been or still are. And so I wanted to actually see a channeling first before I really could accept that there's the fact that there are other beings who live in other dimensions who are able to talk through human beings, and that actually we're all part of a greater spiritual hierarchy of being. And the earth plane is just one of many planes of existence, and all the kinds of information that maybe all of you know or some of you know, and I certainly know now. So I actually came to find that there was a woman named Sheila Reynolds, who some of you may have heard her. She had actually channeled here one evening recently, and she became my teacher, and she had a class room in Washington's Crossing where she taught spiritual studies, meditation, and channeling. And she became a channeler herself, working with the Ouija board. And an entity came through and started channeling through her named Gay Bonner. And this was the first entity that worked with her, a Scottish woman from the 17th century. And so it was very exciting to visit her twice weekly. I got to that point where I was taking classes twice a week. Sitting around a wonderful reconditioned barn in Washington's Crossing, sitting on the floor listening to her channel and really getting, that this was a different person, this was a different being, there was universal wisdom coming through her, and we learned an awful lot in the 2 years that I took classes with her. And during that second year that I was with her, during a meditation, I felt a presence, and a name came to me, and the presence was a male, and the name was Dan, or Daniel. And that's how I first got in touch with my spiritual guide, one of my spiritual guides. And he started to make himself known to me in the meditation fairly quickly on, and then I asked Sheila, well, how do I connect with him? I don't know how to channel. And she said, well, try this. Try to write in your diary at night and just ask for his presence to come through your hand, writing through your hand. I said, wow, I never heard of that, but it's called automatic writing, and apparently it's a phenomenon that occurs for people who are psychic or intuitive, that the spirit guide or an entity will actually write through your hand and write a message to you. So I decided to try that out, and lo and behold, Daniel did come through loud and clear after a few false starts. At night, before I went to bed, I would just take out my diary and say, dear Daniel, would you please come through? What is your message for me tonight? And, he would write immediately a sentence or two, and just kind of reassuring me that he was real, that this is real, that, we've known each other from past lives and so on, and just kind of got me to become comfortable with his personality and with his relationship to me. So I just worked with that method of automatic writing for about a year. And during that time, the writing got longer and longer and longer. He started writing more and more and more as I became more proficient in connecting with his energy. And so I shared that with Sheila in my class, and they were very supportive. And then it was one day, as it always is with, channelers, that something changes, and what changed was I had been writing now for other people. You know, people came and asked me questions of Daniel, and I would start writing dutifully my response. And then after one evening, I couldn't keep my eyes open after I wrote the response, and I started feeling like I was swooning and kind of like going into a very deep trance. And I said, I don't know what's going on. And so they kind of like pushed me into the living room, sat me down on the chair, no, it was a couch, and just stared at me and said, well, we'll just wait till this passes over, or whatever it is. And I said, I don't know what this is. But then I felt myself actually disappearing into the couch, and I felt Daniel. I felt Daniel coming into my body. It's the only way I can explain it. I felt him like vibrating into me. It was like the only time I felt that, but I really felt this vibrational energy coming into my shoulders, coming into my head, my face. I started moving my head and my mouth, and you know, he was like obviously manipulating my face and hands and mouth and a whole body because he wanted to speak. So at some point I said, I think Daniel's here in my body and I think he wants to speak. So they said, speak, Daniel, speak. And so I was kind of afraid because I didn't know how I'd sound. And I didn't know what I was going to say because I never channeled before, but I really felt like the compulsion to speak. It was like, I have to say something. So I let myself go finally. I said, all right, I'll let it go. And then he came through in a sort of a deeper voice and said, good evening, this is Daniel. I'm so glad to be here. I finally am able to come through in this way. And so that my friends were like, you know, with their mouths open and just kind of, oh, okay. So then Daniel spoke about Zen Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism for about 20 minutes, which I really didn't know anything about, but apparently Daniel did. And he felt it was very important to talk about that, the Eightfold Path and, you know, whatever they talk about. And then afterwards he said, okay, I feel the channelers tiring, which is very nice of them because they know that your physical body can only handle the energies for so long. So he kind of whirled out of me. And then I felt myself kind of rising up in the couch and coming back, you know, into my body. And then I finally opened my eyes and I went, wow. And they went, wow. And so I said, well, I guess he'll be hanging around me for some time. So after that, it just was like a routine where I'd get my friends to come over and have a chat with Daniel. And it was all fun and games, and it was just a lot of fun, and it was nothing serious at that time. So I did this for several years and kept it on the side, you know, in the closet, so to speak. And because there weren't that many people openly channeling, except the big time names, perhaps like Lazarus, or even before that, I can't think of the woman now, her name, Jay-Z Knight, yeah, Ramtha. They were big. And so I'm finally, this was in Bucks County where I was living in Levittown. I moved to Philadelphia in '85, and that's when things started really shifting for me, that I hadn't anticipated that I would start channeling other entities. But when I moved into '85 into Philadelphia, it was like a signal, okay, she's going to start getting to know some other beings. So through other meditational experiences, I got in touch with the guides, who are a series of 12 beings who just channel information for people on a more human basis. So I gave readings for people. And then I got in touch with Ascordia, who is going to be speaking tonight, through a meditation first, and then through a channeling from a friend who did it for me first, and then I finally channeled her in return. And at that point, I was pretty comfortable voice channeling, so allowing Ascordia to come through was no big deal. And it felt very loving and wonderful because she is an angel, and a Seraphic angel, which means to say she's of the Seraphim level. And they're pretty high-level angels. They work with other angels. They are like a teacher angel. They work with other orders of being, and so they're like the big mahas of the angelic order. And so she wanted to say that she was going to allow me to voice her information, her worldview, her energy for the world. And I was kind of, oh, okay. And that she had a lot to say because apparently the angels, well, have always been with us, but they are especially with us at this time, in this time of the century, because of the what we call the age of awakening, the new age, the Aquarian age. This is a time when there's a lot of changes and transformations going on all levels, and the angels are here to help us, you know, get through this time and to see to it that the earth comes into a time of peace, 1,000 years of peace. Now this has almost been a prophecy as we know it in the Bible, and this is kind of what she's talking about too, that there is going to be at least 1,000 years of peace at some point on the earth plane once we transform and transition out of an old paradigm. So that's her purpose really, was to allow people to understand this, to have this point of view, and to know that the angels are with us, are here for us at all times. And so I began to channel Ascordia for many years. And then other entities came through who were like part of her family or part of Daniel's family. And so I have a whole bunch of personalities that I've channeled, and they all have an interesting point of view, but Ascordia is sort of like the overseer of it all, and she's allowed these other beings, I think, to come through. I have an org chart here, which is kind of nicely done up by my husband, John, who was my client, and then my student, and then my friend, and now my husband. So he's been with me for all these years, and he's heard every channeling I've ever done. And so he knows more about what I've said than I do. And so he made this chart. And up here is, where I start. Let me see here. Daniel's up here, and then the guides, and then Ascordia, and then Astoriel, who is her partner, apparently. And they do say that angels have partners or pairings. And so her male counterpart, Astoriel, started coming through a couple years later and spoke about what he speaks about. And then in 1990, 93, I think it was, Ascordia allowed for these personalities to come through from the 60s and from before. So we have Jimi Hendrix, and yay, rock on. And we have Jim Morrison, and we had John Lennon, and a host of others that came through. Christopher Columbus, Shakespeare. I think I even channeled Jane Roberts at one point. It's kind of like, you asked for it, you got it. I was kind of such an open channel. It's like, whatever you want, I'm there. So that was for a while, and then that stopped. And then lately, though, and this is really interesting, I've channeled Michael Jackson. So, I'm very proud of that. And he's a really great dude. And I'm writing about him and in a book. And I have also a blog site that's going to talk about that. And so if you're interested in the blog, I can give that to you later. My website is www.ascordia.com, so that's not hard to remember. And all of this information is on the site, and including a lot of the channelings that I did of Daniel and Ascordia. So that's it in a nutshell. My background, it's been really quite a ride, and it's been really quite fascinating journey. So my life story is more or less about the possibilities, human, of connecting with spirit and understanding that we're all spiritual beings, and we all have the capacity to connect to spirit in many different ways. And so all of you do in your own way. So my specialty is to connect with Ascordia and to allow her to come through this evening to give you her point of view from the angelic realm, and maybe kind of an update about what's going on in the world and how the angels are operating with us in the world. So, are there any questions before I go into the channeling proper? Yes?
When you are in your channeling trance, are you aware of everything that's going on?
Yeah, I'm a conscious channel. I don't go into a sleep state. But I am sort of in a trance enough that I'm not aware of a lot of noises and things that happen. Apparently people tell me afterwards, did you hear that noise or whatever? And I'll say, no, I didn't hear that. So it is an altered state. Though I can hear myself speak, I'm definitely altered. Yes?
Questions about angels in general.
Mm-hmm.
Were they at one time in human form? Did they get there to they ascend to where they are?
That's a good question. From what I've read, mostly angels were always angels. They're a separate order of sentient consciousness. And, but as I understand from Ascordia, people can become angels, believe it or not. And angels can take human form, sometimes for lifetimes, and just most of the time, just temporarily. because there's been a lot of books written about, you know, the appearance of angels and how they've come in different forms to help people through crisis or whatever. And so they've taken human form, they've taken the form of pets, okay, the form of plants, whatever. But yes, question.
I just want to say, here's an example of automatic writing. According to the author, you probably will all recognize it. There's a lady who's sure all the glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. According to Robert Plant, he woke from a trance in front of the fireplace, and that was written on a pad in front of him. He had absolutely no recollection of writing it.
Wow, that's interesting.
It seems to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I love Stairway to Heaven. Yes, yes.
Did you ever try to play the guitar while you're channeling Jimi Hendrix?
No, but others have.
You're channeling Lennon.
John Lennon, no, none of them. I mean, they were, well, my accent changed, you know, that was good enough, I guess. You know, it did accommodate their personalities. And yeah, and when I was channeling them, I could feel their body was different than mine. I could feel their largeness or their maleness or, you know, something different than my own, you know, body, for example. Yes?
Yes, what did John Lennon have to tell you? Can you tell us something of it? Was he surprised that he left our world so soon?
No, usually they're informed that there was a reason why they died at the time they did. It's all in the timing of your death that usually has an impact on others in this life, and that usually the death then makes a change or creates a change for people that's very healing, actually. So he realized that his death was necessary at the time that it happened. But there's a lot of things he doesn't want known until Yoko passes, so I haven't really expressed that information for some reason until she's gone. Yes?
Do you ever see them?
Do I ever see them? No, I don't have that kind of clairvoyant. I have a clear sentient sense of them, like I can feel them around, and they'll often show me things, or, you know, I'll turn on a TV show and it's about John Lennon, or it's about, you know, Jimi Hendrix, or a book will fall out of the shelf and then have an open passage to something about one of the entities I've channeled. It's like that, you know, they give me signs that they're around, or, you know, songs will be on the radio, you know, that indicate that they're present. Especially with Michael Jackson, I have to tell you, every time I've been walking into a restaurant for the last 2 years, there's a Michael Jackson song on. That's too weird. Okay, yes.
Did you seek out these particular, you know, souls, or did you try to channel them, or did they approach you?
They approached me, usually through a meditation. Like I was doing a meditation and somehow it would get interrupted, and their presence would come through in the meditation, either in my mind or through an automatic writing session or something like that. I can't remember now all of the details because it's been so long and so many, but it was like a natural progression in which they showed themselves to me. And for many people, it's like a soul agreement that you will channel, you know, these beings. And usually many channelers will say, yeah, we've known each other. Actually, I've known Daniel apparently from other lifetimes, and I know Ascordia. She's sort of like my mentor. And so I'm sure I know all these beings, and that's why I channel them. It's like I'm doing them a favor. I'm their friend, and I'm the one that's here in the physical body right now. So that's one of the reasons you do it too. It's out of friendship and service. Yeah.
Ghosts, do you see ghosts?
I occasionally see things on the corner of my eyes and shadows and presences, but I can't, like I said, I can't really see things like some people can. So yeah, sure, I'm aware of presences. And I'll have dreams about beings too. So I used to have dreams about fairies, and they would show me things, and dreams of lower astral entities would show me things, which, you know, whatever. Upper entities, with angels used to show me heaven, you know, what they thought heaven, what I thought heaven would look like, and it was very interesting, the period of time when, so they would come through in different ways, that way too. Yes?
If she gives us the parable number tonight.
You're all going to have to share. That would be great. No, I've never gotten numbers. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Once I did actually win at the casino because I got the impulse to go to a certain machine, and I won $400, and then said, let's get out of here, because I don't think it's going to last much longer. But yeah, any other questions? Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now, yeah, I think I'll go into the trance and have her come through first and do her thing. And if there's time, I wanted to read a poem, but we'll see how long this takes. And there should be a, let's see, what time is it now? 20 after 8. Let's give it a half hour to about 10 of, and then we'll break. You can even tell Ascordia, to stop. And we'll break for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'll come back and maybe do some more channeling, and then Q&A, and whatever else comes up. Okay. All right, let me try this now. Let's see what I'm going to do here. Should I use this? I'm hooked up. But I think I need the mic down further. Because I'm going to sit for this. Okay, testing. All right. Get it closer to my mouth. Okay, can you all hear me? Okay? Okay. Okay. All right, so it takes me a few minutes to go into trance. And my face might change a little bit as Ascordia comes through, and she smiles a lot, and she's very angelic. That's all I can say. And I really don't know what she'll say until she says it, so let's see what happens. All right, so give me a moment. You may want to just close your eyes and just breathe deeply for a few minutes while I'm also doing the same. And you want to shut the lights a little bit? These are, but whatever you need for the video. Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right. Just to get in touch with this cord. Just a line. And good evening to all of you. This is now Ascordia speaking through this channeler. And it indeed gives me a great deal of pleasure to have been able to return to all of you, for I have been away for a few years, in this body anyway, though I have been busy working in tandem with many of the other angels and archangels and whole light beings and ascended masters and the whole crew, as you understand the spiritual hierarchy to be consisting of, for we have been busy attending to what we call the plan for great awakening of all of humanity, as well as the ascension plan for this planet and this solar system and this galaxy. For we of the angelic realm understand that there is a broader perspective to gauge all of the activities that you are engaged in at this time, to see that this is part of a greater event that is occurring on almost a universal level. So understand then that the angelic viewpoint is a broad viewpoint, is a viewpoint that takes in the bigger picture. And so the bigger picture is then that there is a great deal of change and transformation occurring now, not only on the planet Earth, but also within the solar system and in this galaxy and within this universe. But that the planet Earth is a key figure, shall we say it, a key player in this event, and that whatever happens on the Earth plane then has its effect and impact on all other levels of this physical universe, as well as all other levels of the non-physical dimensions as well. So we of the angelic realm are very interested in seeing too then that the Earth plane make its changes and its transitions and its transformation in a way, shape, and form that will conform to the requirements then of God, Goddess, all that is, and the heavenly hosts, who wish then that this planet transform into a place of light and love, a place of joy, bliss, and ecstasy, a place then in which all of humanity can come together as one unified form, shall we say it, one unified thought of exaltation, shall we say it. That is our point of view, shall we say it. And so in this, we labor diligently to promote and present opportunities for all of humanity to engage then in those energies that will produce this result. And so we engage in opportunities to allow for humanity to experience more and more energy of, shall we call it, the love vibration. And so let me explain then that the love vibration is the energy of transformation as well as the energy that holds all things together. It's the energy of connection. And so we say then that all things are connected by love. All things are in relationship because of love, and all things then change and transform because of love. And so we of the angelic realm wish to promote this understanding and awareness to all of humanity about the importance of understanding love. That is the glue that holds all things together. It is the energy then that creates all things to grow and to change and to transform, as you see in everyday life, that occurs then within nature, within your children, within yourself, within your community, within your society. The world is always shifting. The world is always changing. The world is always transforming. But we would like to say then that we would like to guide the ways and means of this transformation along more enlightened lines, a more enlightened way of changing, shall we say it. How the world has changed, according to our sources, is that it changes through crisis, it changes through conflict, it changes through desire on a group level to make changes because it hurts to stay in the same place. And so this may have occurred in your life as we know it, that you may have changed because you had to change, because it hurt to stay the same. And so we'll say that all of you have experienced this way of changing, have you not? and that this is a more human way of changing. This is the more egoic-based way of changing. This is the way that you know how to change. Now, of course, change can come through many other ways, as you also know. Change can come through just being educated to understanding greater awarenesses of things, to understanding your choices and your options in life, to understanding different ways of seeing things, and so you want to change to gain different perspectives. Change can come through just through travel, through encounters with different cultures, through meeting different people and understanding different points of view. And so we say this is also a way that you have been changing. And so different points of view have then come to you throughout your life, of course, in the form of teachers, in the form of adults who have a certain authority, through friendships, through opportunities to travel. And so all of you understand change in that way. But we of the angelic realm also offer another way of changing, and that is to get in touch then with what we call your personal joy, that which gives you a sense of passion in life, that which gives you a sense of vitality and an interest in the, how do we say it, the deeper purposes of life, that which would give you a meaning to live by, something that would give you a raison d'etre, as the French would say it, a reason for living. And so some of you understand that to be what we call your soul purpose, or your goals in life, or that which you have a strong interest in, or your habits, or your avocation, if not your vocation. Then all of you have some of that going on in your life as well, an interest then that takes you into an area of intense concentration, intense commitment, intense focus, and so on and so forth. All of these qualities then that you engage in, we applaud and offer our support to, because this is taking you in the right direction then for learning how to change through what we call understanding your personal joy. That is, understanding that which gives you a sense of commitment, a sense of focus, a sense of devotion, a sense of joy in what you do, in what you see, in what you hear, and what you experience. And so we'll say some of you experience that some of the time, some of you experience it all of the time, but I dare say, or would be willing to say, that not all of you experience it all of the time. And so we of the angelic realm are here to help you see that it's possible to discover your personal joy and to pursue your personal joy all of the time. And so that is part of our purpose, to show you that it is possible to be in a state of joy all of the time. Now, in this time period that we're talking about, we hardly see joy being expressed except around maybe the holidays on a mass level, or except during certain mass events like football games or the Academy Awards or the election. And so we say some of you are very overjoyed then at the results of the election, and some of you may not be, but we'll say then that these are mass events then that turn your consciousness to the opportunities for experiencing enthusiasm, for experiencing passion, for experiencing commitment and excitement. And these are the kinds of qualities then that we would like to see you experience more and more of all the time, rather than just on these certain occasions. And so it's been my joy and my pleasure to be able to offer counsel then to those who come to me in various ways, shapes, and forms to understand how they can discover their personal joy and to come into a state of what we'll call bliss, joy, bliss, and ecstasy, which are the states that we experience routinely. And so then that is one thing I wanted to offer to you this evening, is the possibility that you can feel joy all the time. Even if you are in pain, even if you are in conflict, even if you are struggling, you still can feel joy. And so what it means then to feel that way is to allow yourself to attune to a different state of mind, to a different state of being, to a different emotional state. And that can occur when you are taught how to tune into those states. And so I offered various techniques through the years to allow for people to tune into those states through accessing your energy centers that allow you to feel the joy and the bliss and the ecstasy, and that is through the heart chakra. And so I have offered many techniques that involve connecting to the heart chakra, feeding the heart chakra, talking to the heart chakra, elevating the heart chakra, and then energizing the heart chakra so that you can tune into that point of view, shall we say it. And we're going to say then that all of the chakras that you have within your system engage in various perspectives, so that if you tune into the root chakra, you'll be tuning into a certain perspective. The second chakra, the third, and so on, all the way up to the crown. They all engage not only in different frequencies, but also in different perspectives and different energies that then circulate throughout your body, mind, and spirit. But that's another lecture, shall we say it? That's just to say that you are a complex system then of energies that operate within and upon you that allow you to participate then in different states of mind, different states of emotion, different states of perspective, shall we call it. We would like then just to focus on the heart's perspective, for that's what we are here for, is to engage then all of you within a perspective gained through connecting to the heart chakra more intimately and on a daily basis. And so we say that is the key, one of the keys to discovering your personal joy is to attune to the energies of your heart and to understand what it is that your heart wants, what it is that your heart says, what is it that your heart sees. And so we will engage in that later this evening into what we call an awakening the heart meditation. For this is what it's all about on the earth plane itself, is an awakening of the heart that's going on a mass level. That all of you have begun to awaken, so to speak, to your inner promptings, to the inner voice within that's calling out to say, I want to understand more, I want to connect more, I want to feel more, I want to love more, I want to have more fun in my life, I want to have more joy in my life. And so all of these impulses that you may have felt and are feeling and will feel are all because you're being enjoined or encouraged then by your angel friends to go in that direction, to go towards the love and the joy and the bliss and the ecstasy that is your birthright, that is your spiritual birthright. For all of you understand then that you are spiritual beings having a human experience, that all of you